Hello, welcome back everyone. This is the top 4 match, so we have
Yes,
only
this is
4 players left in the tournament.
basically this is the semi-final of the loser bracket.
We can call it that. So basically whoever wins here gets to play against Toby's Death Shadow deck. Whoever loses goes home, gets ready for work tomorrow. So very exciting match. This is also our first rematch of the day.
Rematch of the first match today.
Yes, so we will see again Marcus, RespectTheCat on 4 color elementals against Brandon on Yawgmoth. Brandon again can choose to go first because he was the higher seed in coming into the playoffs. We've seen the match before. Marcus handily dispatched Yawgmoth 2-0. His deck is built to prey on these creature synergy decks.
This is exactly the matchup he wants to see.
Yes, but the Yawgmoth deck can throw a wrench in the works. It basically either needs a very fast combo
and
or
also
something like a turn to grist.
Yeah.
That gets to stick.
And also Brandon beat 4 color elemental deck to come here, right?
Brandon did, yes. A slightly different list, but playing all the usual suspects against Fury, Solitude, Ren, and 6. So I guess anything can happen.
It's still Magic.
From what we managed to see at the end of the match, he won also on the back of Grist.
Yes.
So a Grist powering a huge board and Chord of Calling. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but let's see. I'm still surprised by Brandon's choice to not include 1 copy of Magus of the Moon in the sideboard. I also saw the previous match where Dominic, the 4 color elementals player, was fetching for basics, always fearing the instant speed Chord of Calling into getting his lands shut down. What is surprising is that actually Marcus is the one playing Magus of the Moon in the sideboard, so probably
maybe
expecting Tron. Never leave home without Tron hate. So Brandon keeps on 6. And let's see how strong his start is.
Also, Marcus has the Magus because he's also a person who hates Tron.
Yes.
Like most of the people.
So no 1-drop on Brandon's side. I doubt he's going to fetch Dryad Arbor turn 1.
Maybe if he feels...
Not against the Fury deck. Maybe if he wants to go home sooner. Stop the Tron hate. Well, there always has to be a villain.
Apparently in Vienna it's Tron. Or everybody who plays Tron.
Brandon hitting the Ignoble Hierarch on turn 2.
Classic.
Tradition classic. But he does have a very strong play. A 2-1 haste. Hello, Marcel.
Stop the Tron hate. What's going on?
Let's see if Marcus slams the Sacred Foundry to have all 5 basic land types again on turn 2.
As usual.
As usual. Very consistent in terms of... Abundant Growth. He did this prior to playing a land, because he might hit a different land that he wants to shock in, but it's always the Sacred Foundry.
Of course.
Into
and the Leyline Binding.
The turn 2 Leyline Binding.
We saw this a few times already.
I think this card is somehow too good.
Double 1-drop on Brandon's side. One of the upsides of Young Wolf in the matchup is that it cannot be handled by a single Fury. So if Marcus does evoke a Fury here, he's able to kill the Hierarch, but only the, let's call it, front side of Young Wolf, as it will come back with Undying. Even though Fury can deal 4 damage, it cannot split it between the 2 states of existence for Young Wolf.
Correct.
So mild consolation, let's say, that the board is a bit insulated against Fury.
I mean, it's probably... I mean, this is the match that we've seen in the first round, right? It was Brandon on Yawgmoth against Marcus on Elish Elementals.
And we see a Teferi bouncing the Young Wolf, of course. Not a huge roadblock, as the Teferi can now be killed by the attacking Hierarch. Or by the Dryad Arbor.
No, this is already pretty tough.
It is, but I think Brandon has a Chord of Calling in hand already.
Alright.
And if he manages to hit a few land drops or to play a few more creatures on the board, that can bring him an instant speed Yawgmoth
Yeah.
and actually threaten the combo out of nowhere. Of course, Marcus can still have another Leyline Binding or a Solitude, but
Yeah. He also has the Yawgmoth.
Marcus team bringing in the viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcus is a pretty good player. Can't be fooled.
Innovator of these 4-color elemental decks that we thought at some point were
That's just
dead.
that's really his jam, right?
Yeah.
So he loves to play it as long as this deck archetype exists. I mean
He's played it with Yorion, he's played it with
Yeah.
Karuga, he's
Yeah.
played it with Giganta.
He played it in so many different ways.
Yes. And now ended on this iteration.
I'm pretty sure he was also like one of the first ones to play the Elish Norn and also these.
probably, yeah.
I saw him play
Yes.
the Eldritch Evolution.
Eldritch Evolution, yes, that sacrifices 3-drop
Yeah.
to hit something like Eternal Witness for it
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
infinite value to fetch in Elish Norn. Probably a bit too cute, but still
It does
strong
things.
enough. It does things on the back of the very powerful individual cards. You can't go wrong with a deck that has Renin 6 Teferi.
I mean, the core always stays the same, right? You have your Renin 6s, you have your Teferis, you have
Yeah.
all your elementals, of course.
Now we see deja vu of the previous turn.
Yeah.
Marcus played a second. Teferi bounced the Young Wolf again. And Teferi met his end at the Ignoble Hierarch's attack. Double Young Wolf. Double Young
Yeah.
Wolf actually threatens the combo.
Yeah. So maybe next turn
It just needs a Yawgmoth here, right?
Just needs
he
the
has the
Yawgmoth.
Yawgmoth in hand.
And if it resolves and Marcus has no interaction, Brandon can actually cycle between sacrificing the 2 Young Wolves.
And win the game here.
Maybe not win the game, but he can draw a lot of cards.
Yeah.
And he just needs to hit probably one of his life gain spells, like a Blood Artist or
Yeah.
a Prosperous Innkeeper to win the game.
Yes.
Or the Hapatra.
Yeah.
But Marcus has to be aware.
There's the
And
Fury.
There's the Fury.
I mean, the Young Wolves come back.
The Young Wolves do come back. But unless Brandon can reset either of them.
Court of Calling.
Okay, Chord of Calling. For how much? For 1?
I think so.
It's a Chord of Calling for another Young Wolf. He just needs 1 that
Without the counter.
without the counter that hasn't triggered the Undying, and then by casting the Yawgmoth from hand, he can still attempt the
he's
combo.
going for.
No, it was for 0,
It was
actually.
for 0, right? And the pitch endurance.
In response to the Young Wolf triggers.
How this works is after the Fury's evoke, trigger, deal 4 damage resolves. So with both Young Wolves in the graveyard, they trigger the Undying ability.
Yeah.
They attempt to come back onto the battlefield, but Marcus responds with endurance while both of them are still in the graveyard and shuffles them away. So 1 pitch and 1 hard cast of the Fury basically deals with the entirety of Brandon's board.
Is Brandon playing Messenger? Good question.
I think not. I didn't see it in the list.
see it.
He's playing Hapatra instead,
Yeah.
which also works kind of in the same form as long as he has enough creatures to sacrifice between them. I've seen more and more Yawgmoth lists cut Messenger. I think individually it's not that strong of a card.
It's basically just for the combo.
Just for the combo, yes. So how this works is if you have Geralt's Messenger, which is this 3 mana zombie with Undying that makes the opponent lose 2 life when it enters the battlefield,
Yeah.
and any other Undying creature, Young Wolf or Strangleroot Geist.
True.
With Yawgmoth, you can cycle between the 2 and keep triggering the Girl's Messenger comes into play ability to drain, to make your opponent lose 2
Yeah.
life every time.
Yeah.
There's the Yawg on an empty board. Not very impressive,
No.
but still scary if Marcus doesn't have anything to deal with it.
Just coming for 6.
Fury is a 3-turn clock. Brandon knows this and chooses to block. there is value in keeping your life total up with Yawgmoth, because Yawgmoth's ability says lose 1 life, draw a card, basically, as long as you have enough creatures on the board. So you could just cycle through your mana dorks with
So
Yawg's
he drew
ability.
another.
This is what
Ignoble
we've
Hierarch.
seen here. He tributed his Dread
Yes.
Arbor.
Sacrifice the
blocking
Dryad
it.
Arbor, put a -1/-1 counter on the Fury, and drew a card. So this also shrinks the clock quite a lot. Because the Fury now, if unblocked, doesn't hit for 6, it hits
It's
for
only
4.
for 4.
Brandon, very good at math, figured out that instead of dying to a 3-turn clock, he can make it a 5-turn clock.
Yeah.
Let's see. Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing the Hierarch.
He's probably getting a Strangled Geist here.
Strangled Rootgeist is one part of the combo.
Yeah.
Yes. It can attack and also give...
It's extra fodder.
Yes,
He's attacking.
he is. He is. I think he's never blocked it at this point. And Marcus, with the Eladamri's call, basically gets whatever he wants.
What is he going to take?
He has already used his 1 of Endurance that he has in the main deck, so it's
Mm.
not going to be that. One safe option would be a Solitude to get rid of the to get rid of the Yawgmoth or the Geist, probably the Yawgmoth. Elesh Norn doesn't do too much on the board
Yeah.
because it doesn't interact with the Undying triggers.
True.
It would stop something like Blood Artist
Yeah.
if this is, or Prosperous Innkeeper if this is what Brandon would be going for with the combo, but I think Brandon is so far off from getting there, it's just easier to get the Solitude. Hard cast for 5. Brandon is thinking, but
There's no way out.
he can respond and draw a card
Yeah.
with the Strangled Rootgeist.
You could also kill the Solitude here,
Yes,
right?
by sacrificing also his Geist.
Yeah.
But then he loses his entire board, and he exchanges it for 2 cards. I think a Geist is more valuable, because it is one piece of the combo.
He doesn't respond at all.
Yes.
So he's keeping his Geist without a counter.
That looks like a land. I've seen a glimpse of it.
If he has another Eldritch Evolution, then we're cooking.
It is an Eldritch Evolution.
Does. And we know Marcus is only playing 1 Endurance in his list. That, of course, he drew. Game 1. This can fetch a Yawgmoth. Or a Grist, but I think Grist doesn't provide enough value at this point. It has to be Yawgmoth. Surprisingly, if this is a Yawgmoth into a young wolf,
Yeah.
we're off to the races. Incredibly resilient, this Yawgmoth deck as well. Big decision. Both players are playing creature tutors. Surprisingly. It's the meta for it.
Apparently, searching out the cards you want is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
You know, it's always funny to me. I think we've all done it. That whenever we lose a match, we complain, we think, I drew that bad card that I didn't need at that point. And yes, of course, but we shouldn't put bad cards in our deck.
Yeah.
Just play 12 Modern Horizons 2 Elementals.
Yeah.
Run and 6s,
What could go
Teferis,
wrong,
and
yeah.
then what could go wrong?
If you only play good cards, you never draw
Yes.
bad cards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just look at this board state. Which card that Marcus can draw
Is
is
bad,
bad, other than, let's say, a land?
Even a land is good. In his case, I mean, he doesn't have Omnath at the
Yes,
moment.
with
but,
Omnath, even a land would.
Yeah. But other than that, Ren and 6 is amazing. Teferi is amazing. Solitude, Fury, I don't know. Eladamri's Core would be amazing.
Of course.
Leyline Binding
Leyline
would be
Binding
amazing.
would also seal
Yeah.
it. And
And
there's
there's
the
the yeah. What else? So what is he going to take now? The Fury, alright.
There is no black or green mana tide in this case.
Yeah. That would be
So Marcus doesn't have to fear anything. The second Yawg is dead.
doesn't look good for Brandon.
Doesn't look good at all. I think you can't block with the Geist now. It's a combo piece that you need for later. He could trade it for the Solitude, but that's not the winning line. He draws his card and passes.
Wow. Oh, that's not good. Now he's coming for like...
That's either not good or very good.
That's too much. Abundant Growth draws card, yeah.
And the Prismatic
Yeah,
Ending
that's
to get
it.
rid of the blocker. And that's a lethal attack.
That's game, yeah.
Unless, yeah, Brandon has one Chord of Calling. He could get a Young Wolf.
Is there a Black Settle the Wreckage?
Oh, actual Endurance. Unfortunately, he
Still
is
taking
forced to
10.
trade with the bigger Fury, and he cannot keep the Endurance on the board. This attack puts him to 1 life. He couldn't have blocked any other way. And that's the concession.
Alright.
So Marcus is...
So this was
overall on
game
the
1?
day- yes, game 1. He's overall on the day 3-0 against Brandon. But this is how underdog stories are made. This is where the comeback starts, so we
Sorry.
could see it, no worries. Again, what are we expecting post-board? We saw the Thought Seizes in the previous match. So
We
those
saw the
are-
Thought Seizes, yeah.
Those are definitely coming in. And potentially one other card, for instance, the Trap Breaker, the Outland Liberator, to deal with the Leyline Binding. And on Marcus's side, Containment Priest, absolutely worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
And the Endurances, as we've seen now, I don't know if we mentioned them in the first match, they actually work very favorably for him with
Yeah.
Undying triggers. They basically ensure that the creature doesn't come back.
Yeah.
I would have thought that he doesn't need it, given that Solitude and Leyline Binding both exile the card,
Yeah.
but it does have great synergy with Fury.
So like we said in the first game, the Thought Seizes for Brandon. Maybe what else? I mean, there's not so much.
Not so much.
You mentioned the one Go for the Throat.
Maybe the one Go for the Throat as an answer to Omnath. How this works, if you want to prevent Omnath from generating extra life or the additional 5 mana, Omnath, unfortunately, when it comes into play, triggers the draw a card ability.
Yeah.
At which point, the opposing player, so the
Can
run,
respond.
can respond and kill the Omnath
Before the second land comes
before
in.
the land
Yeah.
comes into play. Yes, so this would be it. But it's just one copy of Go for the Throat, and
Yeah.
it could be the play. Maybe it kills a Fury after it's already ravaged.
So let's put these aside. And we also have behind our back is Phil. Phil, the Hammer Time player.
Was geht?
Do you want to say a few words?
Happens.
Come on,
Happens.
It's just one word.
come on, impromptu interview, Phil.
Nah.
Do it.
Nah, I'm busy.
Tell us more about the.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us more
I
about
failed
the
so
round.
much. Nah.
The Mana Tithe, unfortunately, was not
what
enough
did you
for
think
Phil.
about the Mana Tithe instead of? We were all expecting Spell Pierces, but when you fetch the planes,
Yeah, just because Mana Tide hits elementals.
that's true.
That's 1 point.
That's true.
That's why I played the Mana Tides. I tried, but misplayed. I think so. Maybe.
Didn't work
but
out,
the
no.
Sentinel turn 1.
Yes.
I would have done this anyways. So
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can never expect a second Final 6.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
So it happens, you know.
Yeah, the second
Happens.
round 6 was sick, yeah.
Because the Lavinia
I'm fine,
on the
I'm
board
fine.
is basically untouchable by Solitude, Fury, Leyline Binding. He had to have.
He had the money. You see, so, never mind. Happens.
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 Very
Happens, yeah.
1 word.
That's very good sportsmanship from the Hammer Time player. Either you win or you lose.
Yeah,
Happens.
of course, you have to try. Yeah, when you see it, try it.
Yeah.
Happens.
Happens,
Or happens
yeah.
not.
Yeah. Totally true.
This happens. Maybe a new word. This happens.
Phil's words of wisdom over here in the chat.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next
Thank
time.
you, Phil.
Thank you.
So the players are drawing up their hands for game 2. Brandon is very kindly showing us his hand.
Considering his options and
Happy
takes a mulligan.
mulligans.
But we've seen the go for the throat here.
We've seen
He
the
boarded
go
it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Was it a one-lander with Yawgmoth?
Yes.
Go for the yes. Okay. So both players go to 6. I'll say the same thing that I said in the previous match. I think the creature deck, so in this case Yawgmoth, is happy
Yeah.
to have both players mulligan.
Yeah.
The only hope is that Marcus stumbles somehow on lands
Yes.
or on colors or in any other way, and that the Yawgmoth player gets enough traction
But
to
That's
combo out.
that's really tough. I mean, that's not really good if your strategy is to hope that your opponent will stumble.
It's the same way you hope for no turn 3 Tron. Cross your fingers, cast
yeah.
the turn.
Yeah. Or that there is no infect player showing up
Oh god.
and wrecking the whole top 8.
Let's see.
This
Brandon's-
looks much better for
Brandon's hand looks great now. He has the lands, he has the Boseiju that we talked about in the first
Yeah.
match as well. Hierarch as well. He decides to put the Hierarch on the bottom. Does he have another accelerator?
I think
Yes,
so.
he does. He has a second Hierarch. So he can really shoot out in terms of mana production. He goes turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Wall of Roots,
Yeah.
and this already lets him untap into 5 mana on turn 2.
And he
which
also
is-
has the Court of Calling in hand.
Yes, exactly.
So it might be enough.
It might be. Let's see how solid
Fingers crossed.
Marcus's hand is. Sacred Foundry.
Sacred Foundry.
Go. So the Hierarch gets to untap. To be fair, Marcus only has 2 prismatic endings that could have reasonably dealt with the Hierarch.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have Furies and Solitude.
Yeah, true.
I think it's bait. Wasting a Solitude
Yeah.
on or a Fury on a turn 1 Hierarch. A Thoughtseize.
Interesting.
This hand is looking better and better.
So now we know. Alright, there's a Boseiju, there's a Windswept Thief, there's a Priest, a Fury, a Leyline Binding, and a Teferi. None of that is what Brandon wants to have in the hand of the opponent.
Pretty terrible, right?
Pretty terrible.
There
What
is-
what are you going to take? I mean, Fury is backbreaking.
I think
Leyline
you have to
Binding
take
is-
the Priest. I think you have to take Containment Priest, right?
He takes the Fury.
He takes the Fury and chooses to. He
doesn't have.
He has it. He has it. He doesn't want to play the Boseiju.
Yeah. For the Leyline
For the
Binding. he's
Leyline
keeping for
Binding
the
that
Leyline
he
Binding.
knows. A very heads up play from
Yeah.
Brandon. Brandon does have a second land in hand. It's the
Yeah.
Boseiju.
Yeah.
But as he learned from the first match,
Yeah.
it's a very valuable card that he wants to keep.
This way, it also makes the most sense to take the Fury here, so it don't
So
take
it doesn't
out
lose the
your
2 Hierarchs. Yes,
2
very
mana
heads up play.
producers.
Very consistent plan. Let's hope Brandon draws another land.
He
It
has
doesn't. It's another Hierarch.
It's another Hierarch,
Hierarch. Oh my god.
It goes Wall of Roots into another Hierarch here.
Who needs lands?
when you have Hierarchs, yeah.
What was also very brave was that he fetched for basic forest.
True.
He was counting on the Hierarch surviving in order to cast the Thoughtseize. Very brave.
Very brave,
Yeah, really.
actually.
I mean, if it pays off, very lucky for him.
Wow, and now we see him attacking for 3.
Now I see why he wants to take the Fury.
He's trying to bait Marcus into playing the Leyline Binding. I think.
Me too.
But there's... He does.
He does.
Actually does.
And he lets it resolve. Yeah, and then he
he-
destroys it. Yeah, yeah.
He does because Boseiju costs 2 mana to activate the channel. It only costs 1 mana
Yeah.
if you control a legendary creature,
Yeah,
something like Yawgmoth.
true.
So in this case, he doesn't have enough mana to actually shoot it on the spot and get the 3 damage in.
Yeah.
But I don't think that damage is super relevant. Let's see. Watch me swallow my words later, but for now, it's not looking terrible. What's the best that Marcus can do? Play a Teferi and bounce the Wall of Roots?
Probably, yeah.
And then just lose the Teferi?
No, he's playing Ren and 6.
no.
He top decks a Ren and 6.
It's always the Ren and 6. Wow.
Not a disaster. If Marcus is tapped out with no lands, now Brandon can... Yes, he plays the Boseiju. Brandon can Boseiju the Leyline Binding get the Hierarch back, and
Mhm.
attack
Get-
with 2 Exalted triggers and kill the Renin 6.
No, he can't because.
He can. Oh,
Oh.
he could, because he gets 1 mana off of Wall of Roots, then the land, shoots
Yeah.
the Binding, and then gets the Hierarch back.
Yes, but
And attacks with
Yeah,
the other
right, he
Hierarch.
could.
Yes. But he chooses
He
to double up on the wall, which still would let him Boseiju, but he played the Boseiju as a land. Maybe he drew the second one? Let's see, maybe there's something we're missing here. No,
I think he's trying to go for the cord.
for the cord. It's a cord for 3 right now, right?
Yes.
He could have also corded for 2 to kill the Yawgmoth with a Strangleroot Geist.
So what do we get here for 3?
Oh, but Marcus responds with the Containment Priest that we already knew
But he
about.
knew he had it.
Maybe this was walking into it a bit. It's
There's a
Grist.
Grist.
Oh god, do we have a judge here?
I'm
How
a level
does-
0 judge.
How does Grist, can Grist come into play? Containment Priest says creatures cannot come into play.
Good
But
question.
is Grist a creature as it
Grist
comes
is
into
on the
play?
stack, not a creature.
Okay, because
No,
it,
it's on the stack a creature.
because it cannot
Because
be
you
spell
cannot
pierced.
spell pierce
You
it,
cannot spell pierce it.
yeah. Let me look up the Oracle text.
I think this was Brandon's intention. To screw over the commentators here.
That's his only mission.
They're also wondering and discussing here.
No,
Oh, it looks like it worked.
it works.
It works. And it milled over the other Grist again and doubled the activation. And he gets 2.
Again.
Yes, again. That is actually
As long as
quite
Grist
lucky.
isn't on the battlefield, it's an insect creature. So, Containment Priest, what's the exact wording?
It doesn't enter as a creature.
It doesn't enter as a creature, yes.
Wow.
Are the two lands untapped on Brandon's side? Or the creature? Ah, yes. Yes,
Yes.
they are. Because they were in response to the
Yeah.
the cord was cast on Marcus's turn. We're also losing track a little bit of what's happening. Unfortunately, the Renin 6 is still alive.
And there's also the Teferi. Marcus slowly building up his board over here.
He has 3 cards in hand, but unfortunately the Renin 6 will supply him with enough lands. Interesting. He enchants his Flooded Strand, which is now able to produce all colors of mana without actually fetching. He's on 18 life. I think he could have afforded a bit more thinning.
Yeah.
But he is the expert. I think it's better to do it like this than to enchant a Triome, which can generate 3 colors on its own.
Yes, probably.
This way you also make another land able to generate 5 colors. Brandon goes for another Grist activation, this time not hitting another Grist. And a passing of the turn. This signals a bit of trouble, because with Teferi in play, there's not much that Brandon can have,
No.
other than probably another Boseiju.
Yeah. And the engine is slowly building up. And there's another...
Here we
Yeah,
go.
At this point, Marcus is drawing into everything that he will ever need.
He drew another Renin 6. Marcus is keeping
Time passes.
Brandon's board as small as possible,
Yeah.
probably fearing another Chord of Calling. And Brandon does have a Boseiju and a Yawg. A Yawgmoth with...
Another Yawgmoth.
His Yawgmoth is uncastable. He doesn't have any
He
black.
has not even one source of black. His decision to fetch the forest
Is
turn 1
terrible at the moment.
is a bit terrible. Maybe he wasn't expecting to lose all 3
Yeah.
noble hierarchs like that and never draw a black land
Yeah.
either.
Oh. I mean, there was no downside to just fetch to the
Yeah.
Golgari land.
If you want to go make some tea, go for a smoke, I think this is it. This is the moment.
I think this is it.
I've
yeah.
said the same last match about Daniel's board state,
Yeah.
and I was wrong.
But at this point, I think Marcus just has it. I don't see a way for Brandon to come out here victorious. So
I mean, this is very different from the last situation. He doesn't
Yes.
have any piece to win.
Anything.
that's true. But Marcus is everything.
Not even Tron into Eugene would have solved this.
Pun intended. And here's the solitude as well.
At this point, Marcus is just clicking buttons. It doesn't matter.
Oh god, Brandon.
Gain 0 life. You know the funny thing, Wall of Roots puts 0/-1 counters on itself. I wonder if it put -1/-1 counters, would you actually lose life for Solitude?
Probably, yeah.
Or the negative. I don't think it works like this, but it would have been a funny
Yeah.
way to end
Funny
the game.
interaction, yeah.
At this point, enjoying the time in the spotlight.
Yeah, this is over.
He did draw the first black source. So
Here's the Yawgmoth. Do you think he can combo off? No.
did he cast
no.
it?
No.
Or is he showing it? He tried to make an illegal play. Apologizes to Marcus. Right? Play to your outs.
Yeah. There's Blood Artist.
That's one piece of the combo. So if Marcus is straight lands, 6 bricks in hand, there is a bit of hope.
I mean, he's missing 3 pieces, right?
Yes, but Yawg can draw cards on this board and maybe
Still,
can hit something.
There's
Yeah.
another Solitude.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gain 0 life
Brandon,
again.
you're the best guy, but this
He
is
might
over.
have his one-off crime punishment
Uh,
of the sideboard.
It's not that good on this board. Crime punishment isn't a pernicious deed effect. It only kills exactly X.
It
Mm.
kills
Except
Teferi
on 3
and the Tourism Reefs
and
for 3.
Tourism Reefs for 3. There isn't even a consistent mana cost to hit. Marcus with the nuts.
Hey,
drawing
maybe
his-
he's playing to deck him out now.
Let's talk a bit about the Containment Priest. Because before March of the Machine, so before Elish Norn was printed, these lists were only running elementals, so they could fit Kahira
Yeah,
as
true.
their,
Yeah.
I almost said commander, as their companion.
Yeah.
But with Elish Norn being printed and finding its way into the main deck, you can no longer play Kahira because you have a non-elemental, non-cat creature. What this also does is it frees up slots for other creatures in the sideboard. So this is why you can also play Containment
Yeah.
Priest, because you don't risk boarding it in and then losing your companion.
Yeah. This is also game.
This is game.
So-
Brandon scoops it up.
Brandon is
Great effort. We thought at one point that he had a chance, but
Brandon is now in 4th place, right?
yes,
Yeah.
he is in 4th place.
And then we have the semifinals
We will
with
see Marcus again in a very exciting matchup.
yes,
4
He's paired up against the Grixis
Grixis
Death
Death Shadow and
Grixis Shadow
Marcus. Yeah.
versus 4 color elementals.
Yeah.
Very, very, very exciting. Both of them grindy decks.
Yeah.
It's basically the power of Omnath versus Expressive Iteration. Who is the bad guy here?
Omnath is always the bad guy.
Omnath always the bad
Oh,
guy.
Omnath is the bad guy. We have Brandon over here.
Ich will ein bisschen 12 da sitzen.
Brandon.
Servus.
Now over here we have Brandon, the Yawgmoth player who just lost the game, unfortunately.
How does it
Yeah.
feel?
Oh, you know, you take it in stride the best you can. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah, but this matchup was not really the best for you.
No, it was quite funny. It was the one matchup I wanted to avoid in my first 2 games.
You played it
today,
twice.
and I played it 3 times.
3 times
Yes,
already.
yeah.
Ah, yeah, against
Yep.
Dominic as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Marcus, Dominic, Marcus. I'm like, all right. Well, sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches and hope that it works. So, yeah.
Did you have another deck choice for today?
I was considering a grinding station combo, but I just don't have enough reps in. So I
Okay.
like while I think I could have won a few games, I just didn't feel as confident.
You wanted to
with
play
the list.
something that you were familiar with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's most of the time even more important than just playing very powerful cards. Yeah.
Yeah. And even still, much like in this last game, I'm not sure if you can see my hand when I'm holding it at times, but
Yes, we could.
there were a few misplays that I made here, and that happens too, even with decks that you
You
know
should
well.
be ashamed of yourself.
I am. I am. I'm trying I'm trying not to be, but you're bringing me back down.
Yeah. You played well.
Yeah.
I
do what
mean,
you can.
you're now in 4th place,
Yeah.
which is not too bad.
I was my goal was not 8th, so I'm happy.
You were successful with
Yes.
that. Congratulations.
Alright, thanks everybody for watching. There are 2 more rounds coming, so if you don't want to miss them, subscribe right here or watch the next video. I'm gonna link it right there. Thanks everybody, see you next time.